Hi, Beans. Thanks for joining me on DonnaJean's Coffee House of Horror. And I am very excited about my guest that I have on to talk to us today. And it's perfect for the season, just in time for Halloween. It's Ms. Sandy Johnston, who you would know as Michael Myers' very first victim, his sister Judith Myers. And she's got a lot to tell you. Follow me. Hi, Sandy. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
It is such a pleasure. I had the good fortune to meet you a few years back. I'm getting older and time all runs together, but I think it's been 2 or 3 years at Waynesboro. And what a delight it was to have not only the opportunity to meet you, but to have been able to host a panel with you, a couple actually. And you have so much gold to share with horror fans. And Judith Myers. So you were very young, or very young, I guess, comparatively, when you got into the Halloween franchise. How did you get involved with that film?
I got involved with it because I had been in Playboy as a centerfold, and I was with their agency. So that's actually how I got most of my films, was through the Playboy agency. So they received a call from someone associated with John Carpenter asking for someone who wouldn't mind being murdered and being partially naked. And so that's why they picked the Playboy agency, of course. So I did get called out to one of the houses that Halloween is filmed in. They were actually filming some of Halloween in the house. So I was just in a separate room and they were interviewing me for, I didn't know which role. They were just interviewing me and talking to me, and they had me scream and read several different parts. And then I thanked them. I went home, and in a day or two, the agency called me and said I had been cast as Judith Myers.
And actually, a gorgeous young woman, partially naked, it could have been any number of the roles, really.
Yes, I'm sure they interviewed many people.
But you were just perfect and ideal. Did you have any idea how playing this role at that time was, what a big deal it was going to be? Did you have any kind of gut instinct, or were you just thinking, oh, this is just a movie?
I did not have any sort of instinct about it. I had not seen the entire script. I had no idea that Michael was going to grow up and be a serial killer or anything about the babysitters. I just knew my part, that my little brother, whose name was Michael, was going to kill me. So I really didn't, because I didn't even have the full story. So from that little snippet, no, I was just happy to have a role, and it was a fun role, a different role. So, and we had a brand new camera, which was exciting, new type of camera. So yeah, I didn't know. It was just another film, and I was having a good time doing it.
Do you have any stories about filming it that you would like to share, or was it just kind of like, oh, routine, just filming?
It was a very busy set because it was a small budget, so many of John's friends were there doing multiple things. I'm sure you've heard the story that they had to put the fake leaves all over the ground because, it wasn't Haddonville. And so all of that was going on, plus the house was very dilapidated, which is why they shot the other scenes first, where it looks like you're far in the future and the house is all run down, but in reality, they shot my scene last. So they fixed the house up for my scene. So they were busy doing that stuff. So that was kind of interesting because it wasn't a sound set. The other things were that because it was an old house and I was upstairs, it wasn't a set. So it was actually very creepy. and I could hear the stairs creaking when they were coming upstairs. And I was alone and it was dark and I could hear them coming to kill me. So that was kind of memorable. It was definitely
Yeah.
scary. So yeah, that is one of the main memories, was what it felt like to be upstairs. And of course, working with John and Deborah Hill, they were so good at acting out what they wanted, to get a feel for the staging and the attitude and, what they wanted from us. So that was amazing, that, that I think back now and I go, wow, I was working with two icons and didn't know it yet. They didn't know it yet. And
Right.
I just remember it was so cool working with them, and they were talking about how they wanted the downstairs to be real fun and playful, and the upstairs to have a whole different contrast and feel about it. So those are the things I think I remember most from the set.
And it sounds like it really did, the whole tone of it, you being up there in the dark and hearing the creaking steps, that did set the tone for the film, even though from your perspective it was at the end, but it was definitely there.
Yes.
I'm going to fast forward to 2018, and they wanted to use some of the footage of Judith, which had been filmed in 1978. And I understand that they needed your approval to do it. Were you surprised by that? Were you aware that there were all of these films being made, and they surprised when they got your permission for this?
I was very surprised. I had been a teacher, special needs teacher, for I don't know, 7 or 8 years by then. I had been through college to get degrees and all that stuff. So I was not tuned in to movie stuff at all. I had moved away from California after I got divorced, lost my parents. I just kind of said, I need to go home to Texas where my sisters were. And so I really had no idea that there were other films made. I paid no attention to any of that. And then I was playing Words with Friends with my best friend late one night, and I got a text, and it said, or I don't know, something came up on my screen and said, "Are you the Sandy Johnston from Halloween?" And it just it was such a random thing to receive in the middle of the night. I hadn't thought about that film in, 10 years or something. And I said, "Yes, I am. Who is this?" And the other voice said, "This is Rick and Reek. I am a convention agent, and I have been looking for you for 8 years." And I'm sure I laughed. I just thought it was like some joke on the internet, So I said, "Uh-huh. And why were you looking for me?" And he said, "Well, because you are Judith Myers. You're Michael's first kill. Everyone is looking for you." Uh-huh. And so he said, "Go ahead, Google it," right? So I did, and well, there it was. Everybody was looking for me. There were Facebook pages called "Where's Judith Myers?" So long story short, I convinced my husband this was a safe and a good thing to do. And I agreed to sign on, and the rest is history. He's been a wonderful agent, and I'm kept very busy. So no, I had no idea. And so anyway, back to your question, he's the one that told me that Blumhouse was about to wrap up on Halloween 2018, and they wanted to use my scene and put it in the graveyard scene, but they had to have my permission. So he got me in touch with them, and that's when we negotiated and all that. And I told him, yes, you can use the footage. So yeah, and it was a good thing.
It was a very good thing. You started out at the very genesis of the franchise, and then you were able to be reinserted back into it. I did not realize that the same person who contacted you about the films was the one that got you involved with conventions. And I know when we spoke before, you were just starting conventions, and that's of course a great part of my life, a great love of mine. So I'm so excited to know that you had gotten involved with it. And I know you said you've done like multiple conventions the past few months. Would you want to share any that you have coming up?
Sure. I have done, this year I did H45 in California, 45th anniversary of Halloween, which of course was amazing. My very first convention was 5 years ago at H40. So that was my 5-year reunion for doing conventions. But I also did Florida. I did 2 signings in Florida. I did, oh gosh, where all have I been? I can't even remember them all. I know I was in Massachusetts, I was in Germany, and I don't know, so many other places. And the next 2 places I still need to go this weekend is Scarefest in Kentucky. The weekend after that is Nightmare in the Falls in Canada at Niagara Falls. And then I get a rest.
The winter's here, then you start planning for spring.
Right. So yeah.
Now, I actually have something very exciting that I want to ask you about. And I know that our friend David and my editor behind this will be very excited about it too. But you have done a lot of work, a lot of heart work. And I'm sure that way back then, in 1978, you wouldn't have imagined that you were keeping Judith Myers alive all this time. But you do these amazing photographs and you autograph them, and you've created some collectible items, such as a hairbrush with the hair in it of Judith, because she was brushing her hair when Michael killed her. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And if anybody would want to know what you have, be able to purchase them, how they might be able to do that?
Okay. Well, it actually started at Texas Frightmare, I think about, well, I'm not sure how many years now, 4, I think. And one of the fans came up to me and said, you really need to have social media. He said, I love coming to see you, but I don't want to wait a year or whatever to see you again. So you need to have social media so people can interact with you and see what you're up to. So I said, okay, I'll think about that. So I went home and I was kind of concerned about it for safety reasons and stuff. So I got someone who knew how to do it for celebrities. So they set it all up for me. And then I said, okay, here I have this platform to communicate, but I've been out of the business for 35 years. What am I going to put on there, right? So I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just do some glamour shots. I'll start with that. So I did some glamour shots, and then I thought, well, maybe I could get creative and do like some role play stuff, because I can't just do all glamour shots. So I started thinking about it. I wrote down a bunch of ideas, and then I put it out to the fans. I said, if I were to do a photo shoot related to Halloween or whatever, what would you want me to do? So I got tons of great ideas, wrote them all down, hired a photographer to come out to the house. We shot about 8 hours. And then a year later, I took the ideas we didn't get to. We did another 8-hour photo shoot. And then a year later, during COVID, I went to the North Carolina Myers house and did a whole series of photo shoots there. So between the 3 of those, I got some really great pictures. So that was how I had the platform. I needed something to put on it, and I thought, what can I do that would be creative and interesting and the fans would like? So it was successful. They did like the pictures. So I started with that, and then my agent suggested that I add Cameo, so I could do cameos. So that's on my website as well, so people can book me to do congratulations or happy birthday or, that sort of thing. And then I had been at a lot of conventions in the last 5 years. And of course, I've signed a gazillion different things. And I just kept thinking, all of this stuff is great, but there's nothing really here other than just the tombstone that is about Judith. So I thought, what are the things related to Judith, and could I create something that would just be her? Not the whole franchise, not Michael, just her. So that's when I got the idea. I said, okay, well, I do get killed when I'm brushing my hair. So that's definitely related to Judith. And I am killed by a little brother with a clown mask on. So I obtained I wanted nice quality brushes so that people could actually use them if they didn't want it just as a collectible. So I got some nice brushes, and I thought, all right, what I'm going to do with these two things is I'm going to splatter them with blood. So I studied how to do that. And then I went through, I don't know how many paints before I found one that I really liked. Very expensive, by the way, to get good paint. And then I thought, okay, so I can do that. How do I protect the bristles when I do this? So I went through all the logistics of figuring out how to do this and make them nice and protected with spray and all that. So I got those done, both of them. I figured out all the issues, and I made added a place on my website. Prior to that, they could send in objects like posters or stuff for autographs. They could buy my photos on there and look at my podcasts and different things. But I needed to add a place for collectibles. So that's what I did, and I put the young Michael mask with the blood on it. I put the hairbrush. Then I thought that one knife in 78, I was the first one killed by it. So I took the same knife and blood splattered it, and did some other techniques on it that I'd read about to use on a knife. And then I signed those and put those on my website. And then I also have Michael masks, and I have, oh my God, there's this little jack-o'-lantern. It's a little ornament for a tree or to hang somewhere, and it lights up. It is the coolest little ornament. I love it. I can't wait till my house is done so I can put it on the tree. But anyway, I have those on there. It's just a little light-up ornament that's adorable. Then I have a big jack-o'-lantern that's either the 78 or the 2018 variety. And then I have some little Michael Myers mini busts. And let's see. Oh, then I have another ornament that is the tombstone that's little for a tree or to hang somewhere. That's very cool. And many of those you can get either autographed or unautographed, depending on my supply of them. If I don't have many, I make it so you have to get an autograph because I can't get any more, this time of year. But a lot of them are still where you can just get it without an autograph. So anyway, and the other thing about my website is I was trying to come up with a name. Sandy Johnston is a very common name. So I needed something unique, and I went back to my agent the night that he found me. He said, "You are my unicorn." And I said,
I remember
I said, why is
that about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool thing. I said, I've never been a big fan of unicorns. My granddaughter is, so I bought lots of them for her and made things for her. But he said, "You don't understand. You're like my magical, mythical creature that I thought I would never find. So you're my unicorn." And I thought, that's pretty cool. So that's where the unicorn Sandy J came from. So that's my website, unicornsandyj.com. So that's where that name came from. So yeah, I have all of those things on there. I'm getting low on a few of them. They are inventoried on there, so people know if they're about to sell out or whatever. But this time of year, I can't get more things. So if they want them, they should get them right away. And I ship them as fast as I can. After 2 weeks, it'll be even faster. And they can get them personalized. There's no extra charge for personalization. So if they want their name or Happy Halloween or whatever, that's fine. I'm happy to do it.
So go on to unicornsandyj.com and see what's on there and get yourself a Halloween present.
Absolutely.
And it's not too early to start for holiday gifts either, so.
Nope, absolutely.
I have to say, some of the photos that I've seen you done are so gorgeous. You know, Judith in a flowing gown by the tombstone, and it's just, first of all, you just look like it comes so natural for you, and you also look like you must have been having so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
But you truly give her, you know, the spirit of her.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's been amazing how I've, you know, when I first started out, it was just, you know, I didn't really know what to think about it. But then I started getting all this outpouring of love from fans, like from around the world, literally. And I just thought,
Yeah.
wow, this is really someone that is important to them. And I need to recognize that and hold it close to my heart and honor that, because it's just amazing how many people as children it just impacted them. And I hear story after story, and I thought, you know what, I need to honor this and, you know, bring it into myself to give it back to them. And so that's pretty much what I've tried to do.
Well, I would say you're doing it very successfully from what little I have seen.
Thank you.
You are amazing. Yeah, I wanted to ask you too. You had gotten involved with being with Playboy prior to acting. I know you had mentioned in the past what got you involved with doing that. Would you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. In fact, yesterday was my dad's birthday. I posted about it. When I was, I don't know, late teens, my dad got cancer, and I was very close to both of my parents. They were separated and lived, you know, different lives, but I loved them both very much. I adored my dad. He was a great dad. And when I found out he had cancer, I was just devastated. And so he wanted to go to Mexico. There was a treatment there called Leotrel that was basically, it was ground up peach pits. And supposedly they had had some pretty good luck with it. It was expensive and it was not legal in the US. So I wanted to make some money to help him do that. So a friend of mine said, well, why don't you get a hold of Playboy? I understand they, you know, pay pretty well. And I had been doing some modeling, you know, clothes and different things. So I thought, well, okay. So I went through the process and they selected me. So of course I was thrilled, and they also paid me, so I was able to contribute to my dad's trip. Unfortunately, it did not work, and we lost him anyway. But that is how I got into Playboy. I just wanted to make money, and that seemed like for someone my age to come up with a sizable amount quickly, that was an option. And it actually turned out to be a very good experience for me. I got to travel to Chicago and see both the mansions and just eat anything. I mean, I was kind of definitely not a rich child growing up. So to be in an environment where you could sit at the dining room table and order lobster at 2 a.m, right? You could just get whatever you wanted. It was such an unusual concept for me. But, and they were always good to me. I had a wonderful time. Lots of other jobs came of it. One of which, of course, was Halloween.
And that one will stay with you forever, and probably be here long past when we are gone.
Right.
But,
and I actually still have a lot of fans for Playboy. I mean, a lot of the fans bring it with them to get it signed. I actually have a Playboy agent that I sign stuff for, and he sells to collectors internationally. So it is also still a popular issue.
Well, any of you collectors out there, it's still available. Now, you have gotten back into doing some acting recently. And I hope I pronounced this correctly, Pareidolia,
Yes.
had just come out and premiered. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. It was also a fan a couple years ago that asked me, "Are you ever going to go back into acting?" And I thought, well, I don't know. I don't really live in Hollywood anymore. At the time I lived pretty rural Texas. So I said, I don't know. I might think about it. So the more I thought about it, I realized that I had really cut my career short because of the loss of both my parents. I lost my mother soon after I lost my dad, also to cancer. And I thought, I can't do this. So I just went home to my sisters to recover and ended up going to school and building a whole different life. So anyway, I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, indie films, it doesn't really matter if you live. I was a SAG member, but I thought, when am I ever going to use that? Because I'm not in Hollywood or Austin. I'm not in a place where that's really of any value to me. If I were a huge star, then yes, they would bring me wherever, but they're not going to bring me to LA for an interview, right? So that's when I started learning about FICOR and some of the other stuff where you can do indie films, but still be associated with SAG films if someone wants you. And so that's kind of where I went with that, thinking, okay, well, maybe I could work this out. And so I started putting it out on the internet that, yeah, I would like to do films again. And I actually did one called Vulps, The Lust for Revenge. It was a Hungarian film. I'm hoping it'll be out at some point. The first one, the prologue, was very good. That's why I agreed to do the next version of it. It was filmed during COVID, and of course it was international, so it is a Zoom part, but I'm actually doing a Zoom call with my son in the film, so it makes sense. So I know they're done with it, so I'm hoping it'll be out at some point. So anyway, that was a couple years ago. And then fast forward to Pareidolia, which is a UK film. And Stuart Morris is someone that I visited with a lot over the internet over the last few years. I did like a film fest judge for one of his deals. And anyway, he said he would like me to be the late night DJ voice on the radio for the film. So I said, okay, that sounds fun. So my name in the film is Mickey Myers. And
I wonder if there's anything about that.
So anyway, it is a very good short film. The opening was at London, in a theater there in the London downtown area. And the film went over very well. It actually ended up winning awards there. It's got another film fest coming up. I think at some point, they've got invited to one in the US. So I'm very excited about it. It has to do with the word pareidolia, which means basically you see something that isn't really there. So like if you look into the clouds and you see an eagle, that's pareidolia. You're seeing something in your mind that's not really there. So this horror film is about that, seeing things that aren't really there. It's very good. I love it. And then just last week when I was in Florida, I was working on a film called The Executioner that I've actually been talking to them about it for the last 3 years. But the writer of it actually hurt himself really bad on his motorcycle just about the time we started talking about it. So now he's all healed up. I was going to be in Florida for Spookala, and they said, let's do your scenes while you're in Florida. I said, yeah, let's do that. So we shot my scenes last week, and this is definitely the biggest part I've had yet. I have a lot of lines. I'm a psychiatrist. It's actually an amazing role. The young man that plays with me is amazing. So I'm pretty excited about this one. It's all shot in the Daytona Beach area, and it has the director Michael Burnett actually has quite a history in Hollywood for working some very big films with FX and stuff. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one.
It sounds really amazing, and I'm really looking forward to you having more roles and more of a just more of a part instead of just the voice or a
Right.
kill. So that's really, really wonderful.
Yeah, I was pretty excited when I
And
saw the script.
I can see you also with Paradolia being the voice. I can see you because you have this lovely voice that carries. So and that one is already out and available. Is that do you have any idea if I looked that up, would I be able to find it on streaming?
On Paradolia? No, it's just now
Yeah.
hitting the film festivals and stuff. Yeah. So it's doing really well
Well, I'm
with
gonna
them,
keep
though. So I'm sure, I really feel like somebody will pick
Right.
it up.
That is fabulous, and I'll try as best I can to, when I do here, to keep people updated. You know, you guys out there, if you're in my Facebook Coffee House of Horror, whenever I get updates on films of some of our wonderful indie filmmakers and actors, I'll try to update you in there. So, or you can follow Sandy, Unicorn Sandy, and keep up to date on what she's doing and when things become available.
Right. And if they're into Facebook rather than Instagram, my Facebook is facebook.com/TheRealSandyJohnson.
Now, Sandy, if you had any advice to give to somebody who was looking at getting into the arts, getting into acting, what would that advice be?
Well, getting a coach is helpful. I do have a coach. I think studying the greats is helpful. The great movies, especially some of the older movies, before they used a lot of special effects and stuff, and it was just raw talent. A lot of that is helpful.
Right.
Certainly classes or workshops are helpful. Even like community theater, anything that gets you out there. There is a website called, I think it's called Backstage. It's actually out of UK, but it has tons of monologues and different things that you can do. And then I think it's like once a month or something, you can send in your what you filmed of yourself, and they will evaluate it for you and give you tips and stuff. So I would say monologues, watching the greats, get a coach or take a class, and just, get involved.
Words of wisdom.
And if you can volunteer on a set or be an extra, those are also good ideas.
Then you get to actually get a foot in the door and observe before you put yourself
Right.
out there. Sandy, thank you so much for joining us.
You are welcome.
Out there, keep an eye on the convention scene. And if you have a chance, run into this lady. You will not regret it. And hey, you convention people out there, you owners and promoters, how about a Halloween reunion at one of your shows with Sandy and one of the Michael Myers? I think it would be a great idea. Who am I? Thank you,
Of course.
Sandy.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Bye.